and we have Michael Weiss on the line. Michael, welcome to WPFW.
Hi, Rusty. Happy to be here.
Oh, great. So you got a solo concert coming up on Monday. Tell us about what'll be happening.
Well, I'm going to be playing at the Arts Club of Washington at 7 o'clock on Monday, and it's going to be a solo piano recital, and I've been asked to perform original compositions, so your listeners have gotten a preview of some of the kinds of things I'm going to play.
Oh, excellent. Michael, for folks who maybe aren't familiar with you, and there's always people new to the music that tune in to WPFW, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started, and what drew you to playing piano.
My mother suggested I take piano lessons from the age of 6. I grew up in Dallas, and I studied classical piano lessons, and I was also playing by ear very early on too. I discovered I had a talent for figuring things out on the piano without music as well, and came up like many kids in the 60s listening to rock music, and I came upon jazz as a young teenager going to the Interlochen Music Camp one summer, where I had a chance to hear Duke Ellington in person. And
oh, wow. Okay.
And that's kind of sent me on my way. Within a couple of months, I'd written a big band chart. So I returned back to Dallas, where I grew up, and had an arts magnet type of high school program where I could spend 4 hours a day with music. And so I wrote for my big band, and came under the spell of a lot of great jazz at that time. From Horace Silver to Herbie Hancock and Weatherport and all of the and Stevie Wonder and Steely Dan and all the great music that was current at that time as well. Then I went to Indiana University and had a chance to perform with a lot of the older Indianapolis musicians who came up with Wes Montgomery and J.J. and Freddie Hubbard and people like that. And at that time, I began going to New York very frequently. And as soon as I finished school, I moved to New York and really just aspired to play with the best musicians I could. And
yes.
That's kind of how my career has the path that it's taken.
David Baker was at Indiana University at that time, wasn't
he? Yes, he was.
Yes, the boy is.
So New York is was an exciting place to be, as it always is, But I managed to, after a short period of time, get a chance to play with a lot of my heroes, people that I had on records, and to me this was the way I sort of career path that I wanted my career to go, and having a chance to work in bands of come up through the ranks, so to speak. So,
who were some of those heroes that you got to work with?
Well, my first sort of road gig, name gig, was with Jon Hendricks. But before that, I started to work every week regularly with the saxophonist Junior Cook.
Sure.
From the Horace Silver Quintet. And I worked regularly with Junior for several years, and also I joined his quintet with Bill Hardman. And so having a chance to be an actual member of that band and tour Europe and play in a lot of the clubs in New York was a great experience for me. And during that time, I guess we're talking about the early mid-'80s, I got to work with Pepper Adams and a number of different artists, and then I joined Johnny Griffin's band in 1987 and stayed with him for about 15 years.
Wow, yeah, long time gig with Johnny Griffin. How did that happen? How did you hook up with him?
Well, the drummer Kenny Washington and I had been playing together for a few years, and we made my first record for Crisscross. And when Griff's piano player had a conflict, Kenny recommended me, and so I subbed on the band on a few occasions, and then when the chair opened up, Griffin asked me to join. So that's how that happened.
Well, he was one of these really competitive players, really, really fast, too. That must have been a challenge in the beginning.
Yeah, well, Griffin was. I don't know about the competitive thing. He just has an outsized personality and extrovert.
Right, okay.
He really liked to. He liked to have a lot of fun, but when we got on that bandstand, it was as serious as your life. You know, once we were all up there, and the very first count off of the first tune of the set, it's fasten your seatbelts and get ready. Take no prisoners.
Sure.
It was very, very intense.
Great.
But
wow.
Johnny played, gave 100% all the time, and playing with players that have such strong personalities like that. A lot of the people like Johnny that I've had a chance to work with, they bring that out in you. Ultimately, we all want to kind of find our own voice and our style. But when you're surrounded with and you're playing with players who have such strong identities, it just naturally inspires you to dig deep, to express yourself, to put your identity out there, your individuality. You dig in and you have to deliver,
Sure.
And it's very, very stimulating and exciting. I mean, all the players like that I had a chance to work with. It brings out the best in you, And there's certainly nothing like playing night after night to hone your craft and develop and actually, to improve and excel and develop.
You were in town a few months ago in a tribute at Lisner Auditorium to James Reese, Europe. How did you get pulled into that? And looking at the music of someone, who was such an earlier part of our music, having passed away in 1919, that was an interesting concept that they had. In fact, Randy Weston recently did another tribute to Mr. Europe. But how did you get hooked into it?
Well, what happened was this was a project organized by a French American cultural organization, and one of the people involved was close friends with the drummer Alvin Queen,
sure,
who lives in Geneva, and Alvin had hired me to play, and then we put the group together, and then. Alvin had some difficulties getting back into the States.
Yes, I know all about that.
So,
I didn't know
because of that,
yes.
So we were already all hired, and so the leadership duties fell into my lap. So I brought in my drummer, and we played that concert. But it was a very ambitious program. The Smithsonian Jazz Masterworks Orchestra played. We had a guitarist from France named Christian Escudé played with us.
Oh yeah, I was there. It was wonderful.
So it was very nice.
Yeah, yes. And in fact, I was there at your behest. You got a hold of me to make it there. Really appreciated that.
Sure.
And I was just outrageous the situation with Alvin Queen being denied entry to his home country to perform this tribute to this great African American artist, who with an event organized by the Embassy of France. It just was mind-boggling. In any case, Alvin messaged me and told me he's doing fine without it.
Right.
So let's get back to your coming into town this weekend. Actually, you got a house concert, house party coming up also this weekend, right?
Yes,
so
that's true.
That's
I love to play in Washington, and I haven't played in Washington that much in recent years, but I appeared many times through the 80s and the 90s and the beginning of the 2000s also. I have very, very fond memories of many gigs at One Step Down with Johnny Griffin, with Frank West, with Charles McPherson, with my own groups. I played in Washington with Art Farmer, and one very, very memorable engagement was a 80th birthday tribute to Billy Taylor at the Kennedy Center.
Yes, wow.
It was a big star-studded event. It was a big band that I was part of, but Phil Woods and Frank West and Jimmy Heath, Bob Cranshaw were all part of that, and Nancy Wilson was there also, and I had a chance to play piano for Nancy, and that was a real thrill. And Billy he had suffered a stroke, and he was hospital bound, but they had a closed circuit television broadcast for him to be able to see the whole gala from his room. So that was great.
Billy Taylor was just a remarkable person. I got to know him very well. In fact, my late mother-in-law went to Dunbar High School with him. She was a year behind him at Dunbar back in 1939 and 40, and I got to talk to him a lot over the years with his program at the Kennedy Center, and
oh yeah,
so just absolutely marvelous what he did, and for you to be a
right.
part of that, but also to be part of the One Step Down scene. That was really one of the neatest things about Washington was some of these clubs like that.
Oh yeah. And well, the people they love the music, and they did everything they could. It was a small space, but they were completely dedicated to the music. So you want to support people like that.
So again, you'll be doing John Topagni's Party, but that's not solo. Who are you working with on that? You got
Chuck Red and Jeff Reed.
That's right. I saw Chuck there a couple of months ago for a concert that he did with Nicky Perrott. That was a lot of fun. It's a fun event. But Monday night is the focus of our talk. This is at the Arts Club of Washington on I Street, right where I Street intersects with Pennsylvania Avenue. Burnett Thompson's been doing this series here now for a couple 3 years, and it's just been remarkable what he's been able to do with this series. It
is. I've seen the roster that he's presented over the past few years, and it's really great. And, it's a great challenge for us piano players, to perform a solo recital. I know for myself, I don't perform solo very frequently, and it's always a great challenge, as you can imagine.
Absolutely, but I know you're up for it. So what are some of the pieces that you'll be playing? These are all original compositions that you're doing now?
Yeah. Several. I'm going to be playing several selections from the album Soul Journey that you've been playing, including the one that you just played. Did you play one before that too?
Yes, I did. I did Atlantis to start off the set. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I won't be playing Atlantis, but I'll be playing a few others from there. Some more recent things. Some tunes that are more simple, and some that have a lot of detail. And some of these tunes were written originally many years ago, but they're always being modified, and they're always growing and changing. So I always think of tunes as they're a living thing, different from a piece of classical music that once it's in print, that's kind of it. Although I wonder sometimes if I'm sure Chopin and Liszt, when they perform some of their pieces, they probably improvised a lot and deviated quite a lot from the written page. I would be sure of that.
Oh,
so
absolutely. That's how the variations on a theme started, I'm sure. So I'm really looking forward to it. So again, this is at the Arts Club of Washington, which is located at 2017 I Street Northwest, and concert begin at 7 o'clock. And tickets will be available at the door. I guess I'm really looking forward to this. I've gone to just about all of the performances, and the audience has always been receptive. A nice reception afterwards, and
okay.
So we're looking forward to it. Well, I have queued up your piece, Second Thoughts. Tell us about your Second Thoughts.
Well, I'm going to play it. In fact, I might open with that on Monday.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the concept? What's behind the title?
That one is it's a little hard to pin down. You know, funny thing about tune titles is are the last thing that I think about when writing a song. Really, the music comes first, and then after I've written the music, I've written the song, and then when I need a title, I listen to it and I try and see what thoughts the music gives me, and sometimes I get a certain flavor from the piece and try to find a title that kind of explains what I'm feeling, what the music says to me. Second thoughts, I don't remember exactly. It might have to do with the sort of the thematic development of the piece, how you come to a crossroads and you can either go one way or go another.
Okay, fine.
And you go one way one time and go another way the other time.
Okay, let's have a few second thoughts. Thank you for calling in tonight, Michael, and I'll see you Monday night at the Arts Club of Washington.
My pleasure. Look forward to it.
Okay.
Thanks for having me. Mm-hmm.